Indigestion. Rajumaya Lavan Zanya Rivada Japan. The Varishavan Jidin Jamba Javan de Lambda Vala Lamin on Jedam Sanji Julian. Bejawa Saja Tubana Children. Children Jato Javan de Mahan Julian Indigestion. Rajumaya Lavan Zanya Rivada Japan. The Varishavan Jidin Jamba Javan de Lana Meva Hadam Menon Jedam Sanji Julian. Bejawa Saja Tubana Children Children Jato. The Mahajum then the Shisha, Dasham Maya. Zobe Sanya Rivada Shazun, the Mandevarisha. Jidanja Majuan, the Kalo Java, Lana Meva. Sanjay Jum then the Bejawa Saja Tubana Chata. Should I just walk on the Ganyan over Jadam? Sajan did not combine them from there, one is Jadan did not judge. The Zekiamajo Lacha, Seven Namda Command. Iseja Seja Bombona, Taban Jadan from Bombo Shoni Jola, and Central Damaji. Sendo Lavajo Lacha, and the region of Ziba. Yame Tenja Lacha, and Bombo to Jason. Tomjay Chamber, Dumbo, Sonami and Denja. Essential Lacha, and Motaban de Jato. Giving his own letters and Judo Television. Shinju Lacha, and Trinity. Lava Dama Rabba Ne Shinga Damba Gideon Cha Zeno Divachi and Measures. Give up the Zons of Bache, Rangi Sende Yonsu. Then the Sanje Damba Karma Rima Meta, you must have children. Melon Lord and Tinda Barum, the Jachan, the Dreta, Sonum Dia, Jason. Kavantum the Junja Ladu Dian, Gadan, Shiva. Siveson and the one Joe Ratio.
To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one known beyond, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, teach you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme among humans who were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies, forms supremely pure, wisdom ocean, the golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, to you I prostrate. With the supreme science, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior, having great compassion, the teacher, having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the low realms, the one path, the sublime, pure reality. To that Dharma which pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, a flame of a lamp. an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the flow of faults, and be delivered from the ocean of suffering, of aging, sickness, and death. I go for refuge in time and light, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge in time and light, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge in time and light, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
So we're going to read from the beginning. So I think here we're on page 316, refuting the referent, the arising of a consciousness devoid of external reality through the potency of propensities. So I think this is the very, for the minority school, is the kind of main point that everything is coming from, every consciousness and object with object arises or emerge from the potential. The potentials which is, storage or kind of imprint within the mind basis of all. So mind basis of all is the one that main consciousness carry all the imprints, the seeds, and every consciousness with their object emerge from that potency or the potentialities. So this is why the minority school used the example like dream-like consciousness. The dream-like consciousness, the object may not be truly exist, but the consciousness, the dream state of mind itself, emerges from the potential which resides within the mind basis of all. And similarly, an awakened state like eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, all these consciousness perceives their object, so the object do not, like for example, Cittamatra school, Viveka school, and Prasangika school all says that the eye consciousness, the object of eye consciousness, we call objective condition, that first the cast is image to the sense power and experienced by the consciousness and apprehends the identity of the color or the shape. So therefore they say eye consciousness is conditioned by the object. The object are the condition for the sensory perception to generate, right? So the dream objects are not the condition for the dream consciousness to manifest. Dream consciousness is emerged from its potential with the object, right? Dream object and dream consciousness both arises from the one single cause, which is the potential, the imprints. It emerges from the imprints. And eye consciousness and the object of eye consciousness, the form, right? According to the Viveka school, Cittamatra school, except the minority school, and the Prasangika school, they all agree the object is the condition. Object casts its image to the sensor, and then the sense consciousness being developed, right? So the minority school, they don't want to say that. So like a dream consciousness, the object arises from the same potential, same potential of the consciousness, the dream consciousness, which arises from, emerges from, right? And then they also said one example that the kind of disease that caused the eye consciousness to see the floating hair. So the floating hair is not the condition for the eye consciousness. And rather it is the disease within the consciousness that is conditioning the eye consciousness to see the floating hair, right? So the minority school said, therefore, this is no external reality, no external object. Everything arises, from the mind, from the imprints of the mind.
You're saying that the disease is in the consciousness and not in the physical eyeball, without floating hair.
Disease is in the eye consciousness, eye consciousness of the eye sense power. It is the physical disease. The physical disease conditioning the eye consciousness to see the floating hair, right? So the floating hair is not the responsible for that eye consciousness to generate. So the floating hair is not the condition, it is non-existing. Oh, floating hair, there is no floating hair, right? There's no floating hair, but certain disease that causes the eye consciousness to see the floating hair. So which means the object is not the conditioning that particular eye consciousness. So minorists who want to say, like the eye consciousness which sees the floating hair, they're conditioned by the disease, not the object. Like the dream objects, not the condition for the dream, rather the object and the dream state of consciousness are both emerged from the imprints. So therefore, there is no external reality. There's no external object. Everything emerges from the consciousness. So now this is the minority school. Therefore, minority school says that the consciousness is the one that intrinsically exists, truly exists.
Is this disease that causes, based on the imprints, and maybe there's causes and conditions that trigger those imprints to arise at that time, is this disease, dis-ease of the floating hair any different than any other disease human beings experience? Like pneumonia or virus paralysis, is it any different?
I think there are not necessarily only, that disease can be influenced to the sensor perception to see things that is non-exist, but it still appears to the eye consciousness. So in the Gilui exam, one time, one of my classmates from Sarah Monastery, so he couldn't really, attend the exam. And several years he attempted, because he was kind of, seems like he's rigorously studying whole night. And that fever, there's some kind of, maybe it's an illness, right? The disease that causes. And he says he can see the ceilings moving. Ceilings are just in the India at that time. We have the roof, like there's a what do you call it? It's not like flat.
Yes.
There's the out of clay. There's a small piece kind of stacked on one another. So he said all the clays are moving, So he couldn't really read the book because he was so anxious. And then I don't know why he put so much effort. The whole night he studied, and then the next day during the exam, and he couldn't see. He couldn't see the questions. He couldn't see the letters. So there's certain kind of elements that conditions the sense power to see things that generally not exist. And then this particular disease, the floating here, so even the bald man can see that, the floating here. So now the floating here there is no floating here in the reality. So therefore, the floating here cannot be the condition. It's not casting image to the sense power. So this floating here, the form of floating here that's seen by the eye consciousness or the 3D sense power is conditioning for diseases inside. So anyway, the minority school, the main point is minority school, there is nothing outside independently. Everything is, manifest, or the object and the subject both simultaneously, emerges from the imprints. So the color, smell, sound, taste, tactilities, everything is like the dream state of mind, and it sees their object, sees its object. Like eye consciousness too sees its object, which is conditioned by the imprints. not by the object or color that casts the image to the sense power. In the sutra, in the Buddha Sutra, this is in the sutra, I think very clear. They're stated the line. There's Miga Suladin, Miga numbership Gyos. Mig means I, and the form conditioning the I consciousness. So the Buddha says, I and the form condition the I consciousness. So the minority school says, oh, this is interpretable. No, this can be interpreted. This is particularly, for the Sotandika school and the Vavashika school, because they believe the true existing of the external reality. So minority school says, this is not the definitive teaching. This is interpretable. So anyway, now here the Prasangika school trying to bring the argument that says that now the potential that remains within the mind basis of all, the potentials remains within the mind basis of all. So now, you say, Prasangika school, how do you really define the potential? So there is some kind of, pre-existing conditions within the mind basis of all, right? In this life, all the color, sound, smell, taste, tactilities are potentially, it is within the mind basis of all. So the within mind. So before this life and previous life, we have the potential of this life's form, sound, smell, taste, tactilities. So the Prasangika school says this is, it's very, how to say, kind of absurd thinking that so you are actually presenting there is the cause before the effect. There is the cause without the effect. So the Prasangika school, the potential for us, how do we define the potential? Potential is, potential means to becoming of something. To becoming of something is the potential. So that, to becoming of tomorrow is the potential of tomorrow. Right? So then the question is, coming of tomorrow as a Monday to be, so where it kind of, resides within the Sunday or the Saturday, or you want to say there's the potential of the Monday to becoming is in the Sunday, and it is also in the Monday, also in the Friday. So if you think that way, so the potential is something independent cause. It is independent cause. And then if the potential is independent cause, the result of that is also independent from the potential. So then this result may emerge from something which is the cause, the different from the effect. So, and why not? If the barley sprout may arises from a different cause, why not it can arise from the rice seed? So that's the Prasangika school. Yeah.
I didn't quite understand independent cause. Independent cause is arising from itself with no other intervening causes and conditions. Is this what you mean by independent cause?
Yeah, there are many, in non-Buddhist school who believes in the Creator. So they says everything right now is happening is due to the Creator Himself. The Creator has all the potential of these, and they pre-exist within the Creator. So then everything emerged from that Creators. So then there says, for example, even they say, oh, barley seed has the potential of the barley sprout. So that barley sprout, not only in the barley seed, it is also exists before the barley seed. So which you can trace, and at the end you can say it is within the Creator, Ishvara. Right? So that the Prasangika school, that is your thinking independent cause. Independent cause. The cause here, the Prasangika school, the cause and the effect means cause defines the effect, effect defines the cause. Is mutually depending. So here the cause is independent.
When you said the cause could be the variety, did you mean it could be anything?
Huh?
When the effect is independent from the cause, and I think you said the cause would come from the variety. Maybe I misunderstood, but if the cause is independent, it could come from anything.
Yeah, this is called the...
I mean, if the effect is independent.
Yeah. It's called the absurdity in consequences. So if, so for example, we say, I have the potential of giving birth of daughter and the son. And then says, because if I born as a woman, so I can give birth. So that I can be both man and woman. I can be, if I born as a woman and I'm woman. If I born as a boy and I'm man, then I cannot give birth. So there's a potential me to be both. So then because of that, so then I have the potential to give birth the son and the girl. So this kind of thinking is, it's kind of, there's some pre-existing cause in there. It's not like, if, for example, I says, do I have the potential do I have coming of giving birth of any child? People will say, no, you are a man. Man has no, how to say, no giving birth, or no girl or the boy, to be born from the man. So if you go with the potential that is independent from myself, so because I can be both, and therefore there is the potential of me, right? So there is no, I cannot give birth because I have the potential. I have the potential to give birth the son and daughter. So this kind of here is this is the very absurd thinking. Usually we say potential means to becoming is the potential. Coming of sprout is the potential of the sprout. So because of that the seed is the potential to giving rise of the sprout. The barley seed is the potential. It has the potential. It is the potential to give rise to the barley sprout. Because there is barley seed to becoming barley sprout. there's a true becoming. So that's the idea of the potential. So here the minority school and the non-Buddhist school are pretty much the very same thinking. Potential is something like I consciousness, the potential to the external reality is not generated within the I consciousness. It is pre-exist within the mind basis of all. It's not because of the I consciousness. So it's something, pre-exist or is fixed within the mind basis of all. As the mind basis of all is other than the I consciousness.
So that's like the seed is like an intrinsic quality of producing that.
So this is why I say, in the non-Buddhist school, this is the potential or the barley sprout or arising of the barley sprout is not only in the barley seed, it also exists, prior to the barley seed. So then that's kind of thinking that, everything is come from the creator, one source, one single source. The tomato, orange, rice, barley, all coming from the one single source, one single cause, which is the creator. So now the question is, then if the creator has that much seed to become, and why he needs soil and water, he can just directly produce. And then they says, there's a Shiv, there's a in non-Buddhist school, there's Hindu, the Shiv Bhakt and the Vishnu Bhakt. The Shiv and people, particular religious, the one particular traditions follows the, everything, they follows the Shiva, Lord Shiva. So then the Lord Shiva is the first energy, and that energy moves and generates the particles. That particles connects, produce another particles, and 3 particles can contact. Then there is a smell and taste and textilities. So this is kind of, they don't have any valid logic, reasoning to prove that. This, it's kind of setting up their tradition. It's not based on the reasoning. It's just kind of like comic storytelling. And then people who like the Shiva, they follow this. Anyway, the Prasangika is kind of like indicating you are pretty much like non-Buddhist school. You say the potential. So the potential, the potential for the I consciousness to see the external reality, although there is no external reality, but I consciousness sees. So what is that potential? Where is that potential resides? The potential is in the mind basis of all. The mind basis of all is the only one single consciousness which continues to go from the one life to the another life. Not the I consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, and body consciousness or mental consciousness. Only the mind basis of all is traveling from one life to another life. That carries all this, briefcase. Too many. There are so many boxes. So now this is it kind of they use the term the potential, but it become for a Prasangika school. It seems to the Prasangika school it is kind of they are indicating independent cause. If the independent cause, and then the cause is not depending on effect. So the referent, the refuting the referent, arising of the consciousness devoid of external reality through the potency of the propensity, this has three parts, refuting the view that the cognitions of the external reality arises or do not from the maturation of its maturation or its lack, right? Refuting the opponent's restatement, the consciousness without external reality exists. And number three, how refuting Cittamatra standpoint does not contradict with the scripture. First, we refute the external reality, the consciousness which sees the external reality is due to the maturation of the potential which kind of stays in the mind basis all. And if there is no maturation of the mind base potential, potential of the mind basis all, there is no consciousness of the cognition sees the external reality. So external reality, so who sees the external reality is eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, all of them, particularly eye consciousness, air consciousness, nose consciousness, sees the external reality, that all of them is conditioned by the potential, mature from the potential. It's not because of the, color that casts the aspect to the eye sense power, then the eye consciousness being generated. It's not the sound that is conditioning the air drum and therefore eye consciousness being developed. So rather, the air consciousness hear things, and that is from maturation of the potential. So that's, and then the opponent's restatement, the consciousness without external realities. And again, there's this and then finally, the number two, the refuting opponent's restatement consciousness without external reality exists. So that we refute, like, in the Buddha, in the sutra, Buddha says, the eye consciousness being developed from the form and eye sense power. So that is one of the, we can say, they can, the eye consciousness sees external reality. You cannot restate that because it against the sutra. And logically, when you say something casts the image to the sense power and then experienced by the consciousness, then the eye consciousness is generated, right? So therefore, we say objective condition, immediately preceding condition, and the potential cause. So, and then the ruling condition, the eye sense power. So all, conditioning the eye consciousness,
Cittamatra is saying all those conditions are all from.
Yeah. So, they, Cittamatra, because the four conditions, the Buddha and the Nagarjuna, so Nagarjuna stated the four conditions. So it seems like in the Cittamatra masters, they also follow, but they don't say it. objective condition is, objective condition is not the form. Objective condition is the potential, not the object is conditioning.
So there's ultimately all.
Yeah, everything is coming from there, how to say, mind basis all. And then the third is it not going to contradict with the scriptures by, refuting the Cittamatra standpoint? And then it says, and what is this Cittamatra standpoint that could, relate to the sutra? So then the sutra mentioned about a mind basis of all. So the basis says basis of all. I think mind, the mind basis of all and the mind basis of consciousness, the mind basis of all consciousness is the mind only school. Their word, their term. In Sutra, there's this mind basis. Kunjishis, mind basis of all. Mind basis of all means, Pasankhya school said that in the Lanka Sutra, mind basis of all means, it is simply referring to the emptiness. The absence of intrinsic existence from the consciousness is the mind basis of all, or the basis of all. So the emptiness is the basis for anything to manifest. Space is the basis for any shape to develop, right? Any movement happens, right? So similarly, the emptiness is the basis for anything can be turned into, anything can be happen, anything can be arises. If things are not absence of intrinsic existence, then and the certain things always, like if the human beings is intrinsically, myself, the person is intrinsically human being. So if I die, there's no next life. If there's next life, that has to be human being. If dog dies, dog comes. Tomato dies, tomato comes. So this is kind of intrinsic now. There's a So the intrinsic means something that is the self of the person is by itself as a human being, then is no longer depending on the human body, human consciousness. Is always the human. Right. So if that self is dying and then reborn, that has to be a human being again. So the self of the person is not intrinsically a human being. It is a human being by depending on the human aggregates. And there's a human aggregates, self, become the human being. Then aggregates is the animal, human, the person become self, the person become animals. So there is no intrinsic human being. There is no intrinsic male and female. So the absence of intrinsic is existing is the basis for anything could happen. So therefore, in the sutra, the basis of all is mentioned. It's not the mind basis of all. And then so that does not contradict with scriptures, refuting the view that cognitions of the external reality arises or do not from the maturation or its lack. The first has two parts, stating the opponent's positions, refuting that positions. So opponent's positions stating the opponent's positions. In the root text, it says, now if you assert that such perceptions do not occur, like eye consciousness, do not occur in those who have clear sight, because the potentiality has not matured. It's not merely that cognizable objects do not exist. So you see, the asserting the perception do not occur in those who have the clear sight. Perceptions of floating here, so do not occur in those who have the clear sight. So one that has no disease, one that, eye consciousness, or the eye has no disease, because the potentiality has not matured. It is not merely that the cognizable object do not exist. So therefore, object is not conditioning. So this is the minority school, their position. Cittamatra granted, if the presence of the object, such as the appearance of the floating hair, were the condition for the arising of the cognitions, such floating hair should appear to someone with no eye malady as well. If the floating hair is the condition for the eye consciousness to see that way, then one who has a clear sight, they too, should see the floating hair, which is not the case. So one eye has a problem, one eye has no problem. So minority school is saying, if the floating hair is a conditioning, which means the floating hair must exist, is there. So if it is the form, and it is the form and exists, and one which eye is no problems, with no problem, they should see that too. Right? So their position is, the minority school says, now you see the floating hair is not conditioning the eye consciousness. It is something other than the floating hair itself, which is the potential, which is the kind of, potential that is allowing the consciousness to see the floating hair. One that has not of that melody could not see the floating hair. So I think their main point is eye consciousness, general eye consciousness sees the external reality is external object is not conditioning the eye consciousness. It is within the eye consciousness, or the potential within the mind basis all is conditioning the eye consciousness to see the external reality. So the object can be not true, but subject still is conditioning, right? Conditioned by the potential. So this is their positions, their standpoint. If asked, what is then? It is the maturation or the lack of maturation of the potencies, the propensity imprinted on one's consciousness in the past. So now this is like, your eye consciousness, your eye cognition or the eye consciousness, which is seeing the external reality, is, due to the propensity that is imprinted on the consciousness, So they're printed in the past. So that causes the arising or the non-arising of such cognition. So I think we can also think that, the eye consciousness and the object of eye consciousness, and the minority schools you say it's both, emerge from the maturation of the potential. So now you're only saying that I consciousness is the condition by the potential. Object is not conditioned. Object you think is not true. Right? So the external object is not truly exist. I consciousness truly exists because it's emerged from the maturation of the potential. And then the second question is, what makes the I consciousness to see the external reality? The appearance of the external reality is also conditioned by the potential. So the appearance of the I consciousness and the I consciousness, both arising from the maturation of the potential, propensity, right? So why do you say objects do not truly exist, subjects truly exist? Then the minority school will say, where the object referring to the external reality, the color that exists out external is not truly exists. Color that appears to the I consciousness is conditioned. So that color is no different from the I consciousness. So like, when you have a blue fabric on the table and then you put the glass on it, and then within the glass you see the blueness, blue color in the glass. That blue color in the glass is no different from the glass. The blue fabric is independent from the glass. Right. So similar here, minority school say color being external reality is not truly exist. Colors appears as external reality. That color that appears to the I consciousness is, arising from the potential, the same potential. So the one is subject, one is object. Like from the one seed to, from the one seed, two leaves coming, right? From the one sabali seed, the two leaves, from the sprout, two leaves, right? So that's why I consciousness and its object, the both, arise from the same cause. So now there's a little bit kind of, they kind of, they differentiate the object being external and the object as a color. Color as the external, color as the just appearance of the I consciousness too. The color as the external is non-existence. Color do exist. Colors do exist. The color is no different from that I consciousness. It's like you see the blueness in the glass. So in the Siddhantika school, the Vaibhashika school, Prasangika school says, you see there's a color when there's a blue fabric and then glass, you see the blue. So we say that the fabric is conditioning that the reflection of the blueness in the glass. So that blue fabric is the condition. So the external color is the condition for the I consciousness to see the color. And how the color is casting its aspect to the sense power, the reflect. Therefore, the I consciousness sees the color. So minority school knowledge that there's a no. The color is not the responsible. Color is doing nothing, no contribution from the color side. There's no contribution from the color side. There's no contribution from the sound and smell and taste.
So the mind basis,
Yeah.
the mind basis of all carries a lot.
Yeah, so it's,
So the object of I consciousness does exist, but object of consciousness, an external object is, that's what they're negating object.
yeah,
So then object of I consciousness do exist,
yeah, but it's not external.
externally does not exist.
Yeah.
So the mind-only school is basically rejecting conditions as from occurring from the external world because they don't believe in external world. Whereas Prasangika says, yes, conditions do exist in the external world that affect appearances and perceptions.
Yes, that's right. So mind, that's why mind only, Cittamatra. So mind only, so everything is just a mind. So when we logically refuting that, things cast the aspect to the sense power, and reflects in the sense power, experience and apprehends by the consciousness. There is the consciousness being generated. So actually, the object are the responsible, are the condition. So Manona school says no. And then they says, eye consciousness is seeing the color outside of the sense power. So then the Manona school said, this is how it is mistaken. This is how the eye consciousness is being mistaken, seeing its object in external. So, and then, is there any color to see for the eye consciousness? And Manona school say, yes, there is the color to see the eye consciousness, see for the eye consciousness. That color that's seen by the eye consciousness and the eye consciousness are both, and inseparable, non-duality. It is inseparable. And both arises from the one single cause, that is propensities, which resides within the mind basis of all. So that's why we have, sometimes you just, tease them, like, when you look at, the, like, for example, when you look at the table or cup, the two persons looking at the table, and the cup is seen by both. So do you think that there is no common object common object for two persons to experience that one single cup? If there is the one common object, then you cannot say that common object is arising from your potential. Or you can say that the common object, the divided half is one from your potential and half is another person's potential.
What does the Cittamatra say?
Cittamatra says, let me go to restroom first. So there's Cittamatra says that the common objects is just in the common agreement and verbally. And it's used when you see the ghost outside, where the three persons, one person could not see the ghost, two persons sees the ghost. So they're common object. So both share the same experience, therefore there is the common object. There is no one single object that is independent from each subject. So then we say, when you go to the temple, there are many people go to the temple. The shape of the temple, all the colors, the shape of the temples, it is arising from one individual potential. And if, yes, my potential, anything that manifests from my potential, the potential of the mind-based all, how can it can seen by other? So there is no common. So you cannot go to the one common temple. So again, Prasangika school says, this is like, common object is just in a verbal an agreement.
I have some question. And I could put this in a current context or not. So let's say, I'll give it two or three examples. Let's say someone gets sick and no one can see the cause of the sickness, but that person visits a medium. Do you know what a medium is? A medium is someone who can communicate with the spirit world. And the medium says, yes, you're sick because you're being, there are negative entities or demons causing your sickness. They're causing your sickness, so we need to do this puja to clear these obstacles. Now, that person who is, and they, let's say they do the puja and the person recovers. Now, this seems to be a pretty good example for mind-only argument. Everyone can see the person is sick, but only one specific person seems to have the ability to see the cause. And moreover, they could take some action that actually removes the cause. And they seem to be able to do it on a recurrent basis. Let's say they're a great master, great shaman, and they indeed seem to be able to do this. This seems to be at least an acknowledgement. It seems we would almost have to acknowledge that that person has the ability to see things others don't see. So now the question is, are they seeing it with their senses and others lack the sensual acuity to see this? Or are they seeing it with their mind and things are operating at the level of mind? It would seem to me they're operating at the level of mind. I'm going to give two other examples just for the heck of it. When the ships came to South America from Brazil, They came from Europe, and they called them conquistadors. They were conquerors, European conquerors. It's said widely now that the Indians could not see the ships. They had no ability to see the ships because it was inconceivable. They couldn't even conceive of that existing. So even if they looked with their eyes, they couldn't interpret it or couldn't see it. This seems, again, some good argument for mind only. And if I put it in the context of what just happened, I don't know if you followed it, probably at least some people in the Sangha have followed it. The last couple months, people have seen a lot of things in the sky, particularly in New Jersey, New York, Houston, some other areas. Suddenly they're seeing things. And I heard some guy today who made a very interesting argument. Those things have been there all the time, but people couldn't see them before. But now there's some change in, well, they call it vibration or ability to perceive. Suddenly these things were actually there, but they couldn't perceive it. I don't know if it's true or not, obviously, because people are having great difficulty interpreting this. But these things seem to be good arguments that external reality isn't so simple. It may be the mind that creates external reality. So these are my arguments. These are my arguments.
Is it arguments?
For the validity of the mind only school. So would you like to comment on that?
In that case, everyone is arguing. So everyone's suggesting their point of view. So
we can particularly take the first example, which is very good example of you have a problem, you go see a master who also happens to be a shaman, which is very common, of course, in Nyingma. I don't know how common in Gelugpa. And that they're able to, they claim they're able to see the causes of the condition arising. And they do the puja to cause that obstacle to this. And I've seen it. I mean, I've seen this in a number of cases. I've actually had these experiences, even with May's brother had cancer. I had a puja done. And I mean, it was amazing what happened. Maybe I don't need to go into it, but I had this experience, let's say.
Anyway, where we are. I'm lost.
I think now if you assert something somewhere around there.
We're talking about propensities.
Oh, okay. A propensity. So my mind's, wanders in another realms, and then those rituals and the oracles and the comes. So I think here. So what we see is the mind-only school the way they're trying to, preserve their point of view saying that, everything emerges from the mind, and then the mind, which is not this each of the eye consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, not even the mental consciousness. Oh, that is the mind basis all. So the one single cause. So, one single cause, which is, from the maturation of that one single cause, turning into the color, the sound, the smell, and taste, the textures. And then all the meaning of the characteristics, impermanence and disintegrations and the continuums, all these objects, mental creations or the central objects, and everything is eventually kind of, emerges from the one single cause. So the Prasangika school, in this thinking, this is kind of, so and in Nagarjunas and the Chandrakirtis and all of them says there is no single effect that caused by the one single cause. There's no one single effect can be caused by one single cause. So why the barley seed to generate the barley sprout, depending upon soil and the water and the wind and the sun and so many things, because there is no single effect which arises from the single cause. Now, that kind of keeping that in mind, the way the mind-only school trying to, presenting their point of views. So they're actually going to the single cause. So the color is from the potential, from the mind basis all. Sound is from, everything is coming from the potential, which is the mind basis of all. It is not the eye consciousness, not the air consciousness, not the nose consciousness, not the tongue consciousness. Eye consciousness has nothing to do with existing of the color. The air consciousness has nothing to do with the sound. So then, how do you redefine the air consciousness? The air consciousness. So it's named our consciousness named after air sense power. Eye consciousness, the consciousness named after eye sense power. Eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness. Why don't you say, the kind of, consciousness emerges from the potentials which sees the color, hear the sound, and then, taste the taste, right? And feel the textures. So are you comfortable with saying that the consciousness within the mind basis all sees the colors, hear the sound, and smell and taste and feel it? So what is the point of saying eye consciousness, ear consciousness? No, why do you name after the sense power? Because the sense power has nothing to do with that. To hear the sound, the sense power is there's no contribution from the air drum to listen the sound. Eye sense power has nothing to do with see the color. So actually, the mind-only school, and who believes in this mind basis, everything is coming from one single cause, is actually there's a, sometimes you say, the influence, the impact from, Ishvara. So that's the, Bhava Vivek says, the Ishvara, believing in Ishvara's the tradition has so much influence in this school, because everything is rooted into one, everything is arises from the one single cause. So they don't want to say this is the Ishvara, because all the Buddha sutras, they reject there is the Ishvara as a creation. So then now they say, now I have only one, place to kind of, settle my village. I would say, so this is my basis all.
You replace the God image with the mind basis
Yeah.
of all.
The mental consciousness, we don't say it hears the sound. It can see the color. Because we don't name after the sense power. Eye conscious name after eye sense power. Because eye's faculty is conditioning, the ruling condition of the eye consciousness. Eye consciousness to generate that something reflects in sense power. That experienced by the consciousness. So therefore, eye consciousness is not a consciousness eye, the eye consciousness. Right. So then if that eye consciousness is depending on the sense power which receive the aspect that casts or reflect on that, and what casts the aspect to the sense power. What kind of object casting the aspect, the image to the sense power? If there is something, and that is called objective condition. And now, this is a little bit different and when it comes to the mental consciousness, dream consciousness. The dream consciousness, the dream object are not casting aspect to the inner sense power. It's a pure mind that's in from the imprint and the reflexes in the mind as the dream objects, the elephants and the horses and horses and the cows, all the things. So there is no elephant form to cast the aspect to the mental consciousness. As the mental consciousness is due to the imprint that reflects the object in the mind. Right? So something reflects within the mental state or reflect the aspect, the form as sense power. That's clearly there's a two different things. So the mindfulness school trying to, draw the same thing, this is what we call Dokwachibu Pungpu in Tibetan philosophy. Dokwachibu Pungpu means, you're trying to change, like when you're going up to the mountain, and when when you heard the donkeys, right? If you change the thread, if you have 10 donkey, you change by one thread, one rope. Now, if one donkey fails, the all drags, that. So this is our mind basically trying to, first they change. Here the mind, dream state of mind. There's the floating mind. And you see that all of them are, reflects from the imprints. So therefore, eye consciousness see the colors also reflects because of the potential. So they just set 2-3 examples, and then they try to connect to something, the irrelevant things. They're trying to drag everything, It is not that easy, for the wise people to. So Chandrakirti, you cannot really, outsmart this Chandrakirti. So anyway, now here the point is, you keep saying the potential is the maturing as a form, sound, smell, taste, textures. Potential is the manifest in the eye consciousness, the ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness. So where is that potential? So then here, refuting that positions, minority school positions, this has three parts. Refuting the intrinsic existing of the potentiality in the present cognition, refuting intrinsic existence of the potentiality in the future cognition, and refuting the intrinsic existence of the potentiality in the past cognition. Refuting the intrinsic existence of potentiality in the present cognitions. So say, but such potential does not exist. So this cognition is not established. Potentiality cannot exist for what is already a reason, for what is not yet a reason too. There can be no potentialities. So your idea of the potentiality or the potential, right, which resides within the mind basis of all, is the condition for the eye conscious, nose conscious, tongue conscious, the body conscious, the mental conscious, everything. So now this potential, is it in the present cognition or in the past cognition or the future cognitions? So then say, if there were an intrinsic existing potentiality, there were an intrinsically existing potentiality, one might allow for the possibility of the occurrence or non-occurrence of the cognition of the basis of maturations, or the absence of the maturation of such potentiality. But such inherent established potential does not exist. So this cognition you assert to be intrinsically real is not established. So now the first analyze is the potential of the eye consciousness to see the external reality. Is it within the eye consciousness or the past of the eye consciousness or the future? Right. So if in the present eye consciousness, so then it become, how can, barley seed that is giving rise to the result while the barley sprout has already arisen? When the sprout effect is already manifest, already arisen, how can seed, has a function of giving rise to it? If yes, and the seed cannot be disintegrated by a reason of the sprout, because seed must be there when the barley sprout has already arisen. So in that case, seed become the permanent. So if there is no seed to giving rise to it, and how can there be any potential, the eye consciousness, conditioning eye consciousness to see the external reality? So eye consciousness and the potential of the eye consciousness, how can these two coexisting, and one is the cause and one is the effect? So if you say, or we are not saying, when we're not talking about the eye consciousness which is already arisen, we are talking about eye consciousness which has not yet arises. So then the question, another analyze is, when the eye consciousness is not yet born, not exists yet, how can there be the potential of that eye consciousness? So when the eye consciousness not exist yet, how can the potential of the eye consciousness there? Right. So this is like, in Buddha Pali that it says, you are, seeking for, you are seeking the bride for unborn son. So son has not born yet, you're still trying to look for the bride for my son. So when the I consciousness not exist, the potentials that belong to the I consciousness, how can that be exist? So now third possibility is, you are saying the potential that is already exists within the mind basis all, that is, that's a far before I consciousness. It is, almost like forever there within the mind basis. So then the question is, now the I consciousness being developed, that is a condition by the cause, which is pre-exist in somewhere. So then that is the potential in the past. So the potential in the I consciousness is different. How can this be a cause for this I consciousness? So if the cause means giving rise to it, so in that case, before the I consciousness, if there is no, no kind of, the person of that I consciousness not happen yet, not exist yet, but still you consider that the person who has not born, his I consciousness is cause is still there. Right. So by definition, cause is giving rise to it. So to coming is it. When the person has not born, how can there be the coming of his I consciousness? If there's no coming of I consciousness, how can there be a cause? How can there be a giving rise to the effect? So therefore, what has arisen the I consciousness and the potential that they consider that pre-exist is two different, entity. So then it becomes two independent. So this new I consciousness can born from the independent cause. Then, it follows like, barley sprout can be arising from pre-existing cause. So barley sprout can arise from the pre-existing cause and the independent cause. Then why not barley sprout can arise from the rice seed? Rice seed is independent from the barley sprout, and one independent can give rise to this. Why not other independent cause? So like, if the sheep, Lord sheep, Bhagwan sheep, and he can generate barley sprout, right? And he can also give rise to the rice sprout. So he can be the cause for the rice sprout and the barley sprout. Because he was the independent cause. So here the Prasangika school is saying potential means is the quality of the cause, and that potential that happened because of the effect. When the effect is coming, effect is yet to be coming. Effect is arising. So then they call this cause has the potential of this. This milk has the potential of giving rise to the yogurt. This barley seed has the potential of giving rise to the body sprout. So, rice seed has a potential to give rise to rice sprout. So, when the rice seed, collectively functioning with the soil and the water and the wind, then everything is collected, assembled, and they are performing. Their seed is changing. So that change is a kind of indication of a rising of the body sprout. So the two becoming something is the potential. There is no pre-existing potential. Otherwise, the minority school has to say, oh, there is the potential of the color, potential of the sound, the smell, taste. All the potential are independent of each other. Or you say there's one single potential that is turning into color, smell, taste, the textures. If there's all potential are independent, then it's like like we say the beggar's cloth. There are many patches. The consciousness which has so many patches. Because there's so many potential, the countless, infinite potential. All are located separately. Right? So if one's potential, that is impossible. And again, this is like, believing in the creator. One single cause, everything merges. So the Baba Vivek and the other masters, they say, so minority school, so we a little bit, there is influence of the the belief culture and the creator culture. So how is it that it is not established, you might ask? When you conceive of such potentiality, it is associated with present cognition. So when you conceive of such potentiality, it is associated with present cognition. Alternatively, it is connected with the past cognition or the future cognitions. So now for what is already a reason, the first analysis, what is already a reason, that is the present cognitions. No such intrinsically real potentiality is possible. Such a thing cannot exist. For what is not yet a reason, the future too, there can be no such potentiality. The present has no potential of giving rise to it, right? Because a reason sprout has no seed to give rise to it. A reason sprout means it is the time of the seed has already passed. Seed has already ceased. When the cause is already ceased at the time, there is no cause giving rise to it. For instance, when one asserts the potentiality in the present cognitions, the cognition and the potentialities would exist simultaneously. In that case, if the relationship between the potentiality and its barriers is represented by the 6th genitive case, the phrase of the relation and the cognition, the potentiality of the cognition or the potential of the I consciousness. So it's sixth genetic case. The phrase expresses the relation. You said barley seeds, barley sprouts cause. Barley sprout cause. So that expresses the relation of the barley seed and the sprout. But that barley sprout cause is not with the barley sprout. So cognitions, potential of the cognitions, potential, if this potential is particularly for giving rise to this particular cognition, then potentiality is not in there, right? Barley sprout cause means the cause is already ceased to exist during the barley sprout. So there is no cause. So the potentiality in the present time is untenable. As the cognitions potencies, the two cannot be separate entities. Yet the potent cognition cannot be the same as the potentiality itself. So cognition to becoming is right again. For it, if it were, then the effect would have no cause distinct from effect itself. So the potential cognitions or the potentiality of the cognitions is they are identical. Then you cannot separate. You cannot divide them. One is the cause and one effect. If you only divide it, and the cause cannot exist, coexisting with effect. Like a non-Buddhist school thinks that, we all come from Shiva, Ishvara, but we each have Ishvara. So therefore, this is, you are caused by the Ishvara, and you are the possessor of the Ishvara. So, who you have conditioned, so that condition is within you. And sometimes those non-Buddhist masters, they interpret that, which means, Creator has created the creations. The creation are also the creator, the creator of the creation are also the creator of the Lord Shiva. So I think that's even if you think from the point of view of non-Buddhist school, that is still misinterpretation. Some say that the creator is the creator is the one that creates the creations. Each creations possess the creator itself. So they think that. So yeah. So I think there is the same kind of, how to say it? Same work on the analysis, the same the drift is very similar to the mind-only school. The Lord Shiva creates all the things, sentient beings and non-sentient beings, and each of those sentient beings and non-sentient beings possess the Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva is the creator, and he is in those creations. He is not beyond the creation.
that's a cause and effect simultaneously.
Yeah, the cause and effect is simultaneously exist. They are coexisting, right? So, and the Lord Shiva is the one, he's the creator of the sentient being and non-sentient beings, is also, independent cause. He was already as a potential of you, potential of him or her, or the tree or banana. And he already, as the potential, exists before the creation happened. So independent cause. Now, once he created, he's in there. So maybe he has no place to live. So before he has a big space, now he has filled all the space, sentient and non-sentient beings. So he has no place to dwell. So he decided. And some, master this says, the Lord Shiva, he created non-sentient beings and then the sentient beings. And he was, kept disturbed and annoyed by his creation. So he was thinking about avoiding the sentient beings, to avoid them, because they are too annoying and nonsense. So then he asked one of the Bhagavan, so I want to hide from them. So where do I go? And then that another Lord says, just go in them. They could not see. They always see outside. And then he decided to go inside the creation. So the creations are always looking outside. They don't see, they're inside. So the Lord Shiva thinks, oh, that's the best place to hide. So this I can see this kind of, there's a similarities in minority schools idea. They come from this, believing in the creator and the creations. Two cannot be separate entities, yet the potent cognitions cannot be the same as the potentiality itself. For if it were, then the effect would have no cause distinct from the effect itself. Furthermore, even when the sprout is born, the seed would persist without disintegrating. This is like, the Ishvara has created you and he persists without disintegrating, existing and coexisting with you. If, however, the relationship between the potentiality and its barrier is represented by the fifth ablative case, so the cognitions from the potentiality, it would be incorrect to assert that the cognition already arisen merges from the potentialities. Something already manifest, already arisen, and still arising from the potentialities.
So the fifth relative case is also another relationship.
Yeah, it's a relation phrase. A relation phrase is like my table, right? And then the relation phrase is also, it's a my leg, my head. Is the potential of the barley sprout, or the barley sprouts the potential. So you can say barley sprouts potential to give rise another barley seed. Right. Then that potential is inseparable with barley sprout. So barley sprout born from the potentiality, therefore that barley sprout potential is the cause of the barley sprout. So the barley sprout which produce the body sprout, which has produced by the potential, that potential, if you think it is coexisting with the body sprout, then it's incorrect. The body sprout having the potential of giving rise to the next seed, then it is potential that within the body sprout. So my table, and still you can say the relations, because I pay, or this I belong to it, therefore the relationship is there. So there is no relation table with me like inseparable as a potential, and there is no relationship as the table with me and the cause and effect. Yeah, ablative case, cognitions would be encouraged. For those, there would be incorrect assert that cognition already emerges from the potentiality that is contemporaneous to it. Relation.
Contemporaneous is occurring at the same time.
Yeah. So it emerges from the potential that is a contemporaneous to it. Yeah, something coexisting to it. For there would be the consequences that the effect would already exist at the time of the cause. So the so-called potentiality, the purported cause of the cognitions, do not exist in the present cognition. So I think that once you negated the potentiality of the cognitions in the presence of the cognition itself, it's negated, and the future is easy. Future is unborn, not exist. How can it possess the potentiality? And the past, again, then they become independent cause. So refuting the intrinsic existing of the potentiality in the future cognitions. So root text says, without the qualifier, there can be no qualified. Otherwise, even the barren woman's son could have such potential. So again, going back to the same point, like potentiality of the cognitions, or the cognitions, the potentials, cognitions, potential. So qualifier and qualified is the kind of characteristic and the basis for the characteristic. So they are both mutually depending. Like table's impermanent. Table is impermanent, or impermanence of the table, right? So it's just and verbally kind of distincted the characteristic of the table as impermanent, separate from the table. And in reality, they are inseparable, but verbally distincted, right? Conceptually distincted. So they are kind of mutually depending. If there are, if one could exist without others, then says, if there is the characteristic, but there is no barrier characteristic, or the subject to characterize, or there is a subject to characterize, the character is not there. So then these two, the characteristic and the basis of characteristic, become the independent. And then it is like a Baron's woman's son could have the potentials. So the potential, like, potential to becoming, and the potential, potential of the existing of the effect. So if there is no becoming, there is no become. Became, right? Became. So when there is the became, there is the becoming. So these two are not different. If you speak of the potentiality because of the consciousness will emerge, there will be no cognition, since there is now no potential. Things that exist through mutual dependence have no true existing, so the sublime ones have taught. So now now Chandrakirti is trying to kind of convince or to lead the mind-only school, in their point of views, saying that there is no independent potential, right? So the potential means what is becoming. So that what is becoming is possible because something already became. When there's the became, there's the becoming. So these two cannot be independent. So in that case, you cannot say there is the potential that pre-existing, somewhere independently. So if you understand where the becoming is the potential and became is the effect, so then you come to the right discourse. So you are, actually following the same reason that why I reject the intrinsic existence. So you are suitable to understand the absence of intrinsic existence. Now, if you can content that, the potentiality exists in the not yet arisen cognitions. There is the following analysis: when we relate, right, the two terms in the phrase, the potentiality of the cognitions or potentiality. So when we say the potentiality of the cognitions, potentiality is the qualified and the cognition is the qualifier. So potential of the cognitions, like the impermanence of the table. The base is impermanence. Whose impermanence? The table's impermanent, right? So the impermanence become the basis, and table become the qualities. Can you disconnect the phone? That's Joe, you call him. So yeah, the impermanence of the table. So that phrase, the first kind of subject is impermanence, and the quality is table. And the table is impermanent means now table is the basis. What is it? It is permanent or impermanent, therefore is impermanent. Qualified cognition is a qualifier. However, when it comes to the future or not yet recent cognition, one cannot characterize it in a positive term as cognitions, positive term as the cognitions, nor can it be characterized in negative term as a non-cognitions in the sense of something intrinsic existence. Furthermore, since the future cognitions does not exist in the present as a cognition, how can one qualify such potentiality in terms of this potentiality is of this cognitions? Yeah, I think there's in the Tibetan we say, like this person had said this, and this person is wearing this clothes, when the both are in the present time, right? So in this way, you cannot say, pointing to the sprout, say, oh, this sprout has born from this seed. There is no this. Seed is already ceased to exist. When the potential and the cognition both coexisting, and you can say, this is the potential, this cognition is emerging from this. So when the cognition and the futures, cognition futures, how can you say this potential belongs to this cognition? Because the cognition is not yet arisen. So that's the kind of thing. So therefore, there is no independent potential which, kind of exists with the present cognition or the future cognition or the past cognition. So this is not possible. So without the qualifier, the cognition cannot be not qualified. The potentialities, otherwise there would be the consequences that even a barren woman's son could have such potential. So thinking of the specific cognitions that may emerge from its potentiality, the opponent might assert, when we say this is the potentiality of this cognitions, and it's from the potentiality that this cognition will emerge, the two become the qualified and the qualified. For example, in the worldly conventions, one use, imperative like cook the rice. So this now talking about genitive case and so what's that? Ablative, yeah. So it's a grammar, it's a little bit. So Lama Tsongkapha, showing how educated he is. So now he's talking about when you say to cook rice, weave the clothes, so which means it's all saying becoming, this from this thread, you can weave this cloth, this garment can be coming. So the potential is actually pointing to the possibility of coming. There is no such potential independent, pre-existing. So therefore, only in the cooked rice means that when the rice that not cooked, then you start cooking it, and then you say cooked rice, right? So rice hasn't cooked yet, but you are cooking it. But therefore, because of your cooking, and you will have cooked rice. The weaver clothes from this thread on the basis of imagining the cooked rice and woven the clothes in the treasure of Abhidharma 2, when the author writes the womb-born is threefold: universal monarch and the true self, arisen one. He is speaking of someone entering the womb who will in the future become universal monarch. So here too, we are speaking of the potentiality of cognitions because we are thinking of consciousness that will emerge. So the potentiality is only pointing to something becoming, something arising, something going to happen, something is happening, So it's all potential, all is happening, all is possible right now. That is the kind of, by definition, is a potential. Yeah. Do we need to go one more? Keep doing the circumambulations. Before and I was reading Chandrakirti's commentary on the root text of the Mula Madhyakarika. So I was stuck in the sentence. The Lama Tsongkapha was explaining the absolute intrinsic existence in action. So the actions that in the action in the effect, action in the subject. So I could not really figure out the grammar parts. So I was stuck there. So he was actually explaining through the grammar, So I thought, oh, he's trying to show you how educated, how knowledgeable. So when I read Buddha Palita, there's no such grammar, Chandrakirti is not talking about the grammars. I think, maybe the Tibetan people's mind is not sharp, so they just need to talk about alphabets and grammars and things. Okay, so we'll stop here. Chanju Semjo Rinpoche, Maje Bana, Jeju, Gebanyamba, Mermanyo, Kono, Tonya Tawa Rinpoche, Maje Bana, Jeju, Gebanyamba, Mermanyo, Kono, Pama Semjen Tamji, Dada Denju, Nendo Tamje Tato Tonga, Chanju Semba Kama, Sushuga, Dada Gunja, Molom Joju, Karera Roko, Shinazo, Pandan, the woman, Joju, Jerezawa, Dinzin Jazu, Shaka, Sede Bato, Denju.
May the precious body mind not yet on horizon grow. May the bone of no decline but increase forevermore. May the precious mind realizing emptiness not yet on horizon grow. May the bone of no decline but increase forevermore. Due to all these merits, may all father and mother sentient beings have all the happiness. And may all lower realms be empty forever. Wherever there are Bodhisattvas, may all their prayers be accomplished immediately. In the sacred land surrounded by snow mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness, all powerful change. Remain in this world until samsara ends.
Thank you very much.